Welcome back, everyone, to our daily devotions. Always a joy to be with you. We've titled today's devotion on this Monday, as we begin another week together, Sarcasm Sabotages Relationships. Oh boy, that's a mouthful right there, a mouthful of truth, right? I want to start by telling you a story that I heard. One morning, a married couple, Jeff and Kara, were getting ready for work, and they had this very interesting exchange of words in a conversation. Jeff said, "Good morning, honey. I guess you forgot to turn off the lights downstairs last night before coming up for bed. I guess we own stock in electric utilities now." Now, he followed his comments with an innocent chuckle and seemingly a grin while saying, "Oh, I'm only just kidding, honey." Now, his wife, Kara, was no better because she responded by saying, "I'd love to invest, but you need to have money to do that." Now, sadly, sarcasm was the way that Jeff and Kara expressed their feelings. However, this passive aggressive form of communication was actually sabotaging their relationship because they were never really sharing how they felt. There's nothing wrong with sharing how you felt. In fact, it's okay to voice your frustration about the lights being left on, about not having financial freedom, or about whatever other issue that you're irritated about right now. Nothing wrong at all with sharing that, but when you use sarcasm to do so, you only elevate the stress in your own life and in the circles that you're spewing it out in. See, someone once wisely said it this way: if there's truth behind the barb, ditch the sarcasm. Easier said than done, I understand that, but ditch the sarcasm. See, in the big picture of relationships, sarcasm sabotages any real hopes we have at peace or respect in the home or anywhere else for that matter. And those are two things that people want, right? Nobody wants to feel like they're walking on eggshells or have conflict with other people. We want peace. Life is hard enough. You don't want to have the people that you deal with that there's always strife, and that's just unhealthy to live that way. So you want to have peace, but then also respect. The Bible talks so much about respect. If we would just apply just what the Bible says on respect, we could probably cancel out a majority of the problems we have with other people, because there's multiple commands on respect. And it would really help us dial down the conflict. Nevertheless, sarcasm ultimately leads to unhealthy reactions, doesn't it? When our frustration levels reach, those epic levels where we're like the cartoon, there's smoke coming out of our ears and out of our nose, sarcasm doesn't help the situation, does it? It should be of no surprise then that, negative thoughts about people and sometimes adverse responses accompany people who are caught up in sarcasm. It's just the way it is. And so then what do we do? Because this is a reality of life. Do we just stop talking to people? Do we go dark? Do we go, sell our house or give up our lease or leave the house and go live in the mountains somewhere and never talk to anybody ever again? Is that what we're to do? Of course not. We're not going to be able to fulfill a number of the commands that God has us to fulfill if we do that. See, we need to grow up and we need to take higher ground. So a great place to start then in combating this communication issue is by asking yourself a very important question, really two questions in one. Is God being honored, and is this situation that I'm in right now, is it being improved by having sarcastic humor? I think that's a great question to ask right now. Is God being honored? And is the situation that I'm speaking into, is that being improved by my sarcasm? Psalm 19, verse 14 really puts it into perspective. Listen to this. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. That's a prayer, by the way. See, sarcasm doesn't glorify God. Let's just cut to the chase. And it never benefits anyone. It doesn't even benefit you because you probably feel lousy after you do it. Just because it's easy to spew sarcasm doesn't make it right. Let us raise the bar and let us seek to be a blessing with our mouth. God calls for us to do it that way, and I'm sure the people around us need it to be that way. As I've said before, the world isn't getting nicer, it's getting meaner. The last place that sarcasm should be tolerated and be spoken of is God's house, the church. I know that sometimes it's hard because it's a part of our sinful nature. That's why you want to trust in God. Ask him to give you the strength, and by his grace, you will be a person who is no longer guilty of sabotaging your relationships with sarcasm. Instead, you'll be the type of person that is lifting people up, that is encouraging people. In fact, if you struggle with this right now, I got a little bit of homework for you before we close. I want you to think of 3, not fake things, but real positive encouragements you could give to people. In fact, I want you to constantly be thinking about how you could add value to people. And I make you this promise. I'm going to do a future devotion, since we've been talking about these negative sides of communication recently. I'm going to do a whole devotion, a couple devotions on adding value to people. And we'll zero in on how we could do it with our mouth and other ways. But I want you to counteract the temptation to be sarcastic with the high calling of lifting people up with your words. You'd be surprised. People need to be encouraged these days more than ever. You got the enemy nipping at our heels, and you got all these winds of adversity, blowing around. There's no time to waste it being sarcastic. Let us be a blessing. And on those words, I encourage you to trust God, and may God bless you and give you the strength to be a blessing with your mouth. We'll see you next time.